Today I want to talk about some of the most costly mistakes I see people making on LinkedIn, and of course, how to avoid them. Hey, how's it going? Ryan Caswell here from b2bleads.com. And today let's talk a bit about some of the biggest mistakes I see people making on LinkedIn, and of course, how to avoid. Jumping straight into it, for those of you who are fairly familiar with what I do, with outbound lead generation, primarily focusing on LinkedIn, you'll know that I have a bit of a system, what's known as my 4P, 4-step process, where we focus on the 4 key components to generating leads on LinkedIn. That comes down to your profile or your positioning, the people you reach out to, prospecting, what you say to those people. So let's for a minute just assume that you're doing these things right. You're targeting the right people, your profile makes sense, and you're saying the right things to the right people. One of the biggest mistakes I see most people making on LinkedIn is, well, they've done a lot of study, well, they've done a bit of study, and they've read a few articles about what to do on LinkedIn, and people tell you. But the thing is with LinkedIn, the core issue with it, as opposed to say paid marketing, is it uses a very valuable resource that a lot of people don't actually treat as a very valuable resource. And that's of course your time. So whereas paid marketing, you just go bam, put in, $1,000 and it sends the thing to this many more people or puts it in front of this many more people. Yeah, that's great. The problem with organic outreach is it often requires time to reach out to people, to have conversations with people. And so ROI becomes incredibly dependent. So once again, we're talking about getting your profile right, the people right, and the messaging right. It becomes incredibly dependent on how efficiently you can do it. And a lot of people will say, I'd like to do this. I'd rather, talk to less people and I'd rather talk to less people and have more people convert. And I look at them and I say, yeah. Who wouldn't? Obviously we all would, but in an ideal world that would be the case. But the reality is that not everyone is interested, and we need to talk to a lot of people to find the people who have the interest. And this depends on good, solid processes. So ROI isn't just dependent on doing the best things, saying the best, having the best messaging, doing really customized things for every single prospect, because at a point you start to increase your cost too much. Because the more time you put in, the more effort, the more things that you do to acquire each prospect or each lead, the more cost you start to incur. ROI is completely dependent on the balance of this in this system between the inputs that you put in per prospect and the output that you get as well. And so it's not just a matter of, hey, how can we do this better? It's how can we get this balance right between what we do, how can we be more efficient? And for a lot of people, their lead generation, improving it, and even just getting an ROI is just a matter of doing what they're doing, but doing it more efficiently, having a system to manage what you need to say and when, and telling you all these things so that you only spend 50 minutes versus, an hour, 2 hours. And that's gonna, increase your return on investment by essentially, 5-10 times, because you've reduced your time input by 5-10 times. It's that simple. So being an engineer and quite technical, this is my favorite thing and where I see most people come apart, because too much of what's promoted and taught is just around, how to sell better or do things better rather than how to do these things efficiently, which is where ROI actually lives, not just in doing more. McDonald's doesn't make the best hamburger in the world, but they have incredibly good business systems and processes. That's the biggest mistake that I see people make. And then when it comes to actual, content marketing and building your brand and things like that, the other biggest mistake that I see people making on LinkedIn is, first of all, they're trying to get attention rather than attention with the right people, but they're also trying to take this approach where they're building inbound leads, but they haven't actually got a network to serve it to first. So make sure that before you start focusing on content marketing, you have a way to fill your network with people for which to serve that content to. I always refer to this as billboards in the desert. A lot of people set these billboards up. They're putting posts out in the middle of nowhere because they haven't got an audience to serve it to. Very expensive, time-consuming endeavor, and elicits very poor results. Remember, when it comes to LinkedIn, you need good, solid processes. So check out the channel, join on one of our training webinars. We're always going through how to do the processes, how to run things more efficiently, using automation systems, CRMs, all that kind of stuff, so that you can just focus on the things that require you specifically and you get the best ROI. And of course, when it comes to content marketing, make sure there's an audience to serve it to first. I hope that's been helpful. As always, Ryan Caswell from b2bleads.com. Have a great day. Cheers.